happy birthday so I could get my ride in, but apparently we're not allowed to. So.
Well, I'm glad. For my birthday present, I wanted to see one new tweet that revealed something we didn't know before already about Twitter.
Well, okay. Well, then I guess did you already know that we're gonna play this game? I guess. That DHS and FBI were DHS and FBI were having weekly meetings.
Yo.
And with the Twitter head honchos.
We didn't know that explicitly, but yeah, that's almost obvious. I'm willing
to bet. Then it's new, bitch. Just because it's not interesting doesn't mean it's not new. So suck it. I wouldn't.
Do you think they were acting? Do you think they were acting in a way that was improper?
I don't know. I wasn't.
Okay, well, I rest my case.
This guy.
All right, well, I rest my case.
Well, rest these nuts. No, I mean, dude, so actually, I did have a kind of post and after. If you wanted to get into it, I didn't want to distract fully for the conversation. By the way, Warhammer 40K makes both these pussy ass fucking nerd universes look like shit.
Ooh.
But
who cares about Space Orcs, dude? Chill.
Lots of people care about Space Orcs.
The Empire would curb stomp the Imperium.
People that sit in their house and paint minis for 8 hours. Yeah,
that's just demonstrably false. But yeah, if we actually wanted to do the after action report. So the after action report that I had, my editor's a pretty big tech guy. He at least swears by the information that he gave me, which is the fact that the algorithm isn't intelligent enough in order to disassociate between conservative content and progressive content. So that would mean that any of the bans or throttling or whatever would have to be manual. I do think that we did.
I'm sorry, just as a real quick thing, whoever told you that has no idea about anything. The depths of stupidity. You could drag him on right now if you want. I would bet my entire life. I bet that I could learn fucking Python and write an algorithm to differentiate between conservative and progressive content in like 2 weeks.
Oh no!
What?
Oh no!
Bring him on. We need the content.
You can bring him on in. I am 1,000,000% confident in that statement. What a stupid fucking statement to make.
Oh no! He wants to come on.
Sure, drag him on.
All right.
What's his name? Tell him to join. Tell him to join.
Grove.
What do we got? General Lobby 2, and I'll drag him in.
Oh no!
He says the algorithm isn't intelligent.
He thinks that you couldn't write an algorithm to differentiate between conservative and progressive content. Like that.
When it comes to hold on. Let me specify because he'll probably defend himself a little bit more specifically than that. When it came to a certain topic. So, for instance, if you had like race realism. And then there was a progressive who was talking about race realism, or there was a conservative talking about race realism. The YouTube algorithm wouldn't be independently functional enough to differentiate whether or not it was a conservative talking about the topic or whether or not it was a progressive talking about the topic. Do you have contention with that perspective?
Yeah, you could do it. I'm pretty confident you could do it.
Okay.
Oh, wait, he's talking about this. He's referring to a particular tweet. Okay, let's see what the actual tweet is that's being referred to.
All right, hold on. Where is he?
Oh God, what is
Destiny's Room, T4, T3, T2, T1.
What reflects Trump and objects to Twitter censorship? I didn't like
I'm in general lobby 2. I don't think I have perms to drag him in, right? His name's Tasegrove.
Tasegrove.
General lobby 2.
Yeah, I see it.
There we go. All right, Taze. You fight.
Hey, how's it going? Okay, I'm already gonna defend myself from the way that you're describing this.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Backstab me. Great.
No,
Sweet,
because
thanks.
I tried to explain this and I told you that I could have gone further in depth into specific parts of it. I'm not necessarily like some poli-sci genius who can explain like the in-depth algorithms, but if we're going to talk about like how these algorithms are designed, they're not developed in order to be able to differentiate between a lot of these contents. They're mainly going to have a specific algorithm driven for retention and click-through and viewership. So they're not going to necessarily build that algorithm to like restrict certain very specific topics based on very specific keywords, especially when we're talking about like certain different platforms and all those sorts of things. Like it's just not how they're done. So like the idea that they're just like tamping down on conservative content across the board, like it's not happening.
This isn't my debate.
Well, isn't this completely in opposition to everything you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. This is what happened
okay,
yesterday,
yeah.
by the way. I start forwarding like a micro point, and you're like, ugh, I won, and it's like, no, motherfucker, like we got 1 point in.
Well, no, hold on. To be clear, yesterday, all I wanted was some tweet that showed some novel type of like coordination with the government to suppress conservatives. That's what I was curious about, and because that's what
feels like a goal. That feels like a goalpost shift right there.
Okay, if you want, I very clearly at the very beginning of our conversation laid out very precisely exactly what I was looking for. I'll say it again for the 7th time. The claim has always been that conservatives are being censored because they're conservatives. And was there any evidence of that? The answer is no.
Okay, and I brought up the fact to repeat myself for the 50th time that basically there are subcategories of discussion that conservatives engage in that progressives do not, that leads to them getting by the TOS.
Yeah, but nobody is denying that that's ever been happening. Like if you go online,
so do you want to take it to the more interesting conversation then? Because we could like circle jerk each other like we did yesterday, or what we could do is move to the broader conversation of what do you think would actually be like the more positive way to engage with contentious topics in the public forum? Like, should these things be not moderated and then they should just be demonetized? Should they, like how do we have these difficult conversations that basically conservatives feel like are being suppressed?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, and then this is where the things where I hope fucking DGG didn't jerk themselves off too fucking raw. But apparently, after I left, the conversation was like, Connor thinks that conservatives are being suppressed. What a fucking retard. But then if we talked about how to deal with contentious issues, you and I are in lockstep. So is that
But that's not the
relatively
issue.
true?
The issue has been conservatives jerking themselves off that like Elon's leaks revealed some huge new thing, but they didn't. Nothing huge or new was revealed.
If I can like...
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the biggest things that was like frustrating for me watching externally as well was that I know, like, speaking to Connor, he isn't necessarily defending that take. In fact, he's been going after people on Twitter, especially when right-wingers are saying like, "Oh, we got to lock him up, prosecute him," and he's just saying like, "What's the fucking charge? Like, what are you talking about? There's nothing to charge it." Like, the problem is that Connor isn't defending those things. He wants to have the other esoteric conversation, and that's where it was like, shit. Like, there's things that we would like to talk about surrounding it, but like, we're not defending the idea that like there is actually some massive, shadow ban.
That's
or
what Elon has
suppression.
been saying, and that's what conservatives
Yes.
are acting like. So I was just curious if any evidence of that actually came out. That's what I was curious about.
Yeah, and I just don't think either of us defend that or would like forward that.
Oh,
Well, I'll
okay.
speak for
Cool.
myself because
That's
I'll
good.
get myself in trouble.
Okay, yeah, Jesus.
Okay, so
Let
then
me-
nothing
let
new
me-
was
let me
nothing
swim
new
out
or
into my own
historic or
fucking
important was leaked from the shit. Then okay, I'm okay. with
Okay,
that.
so what do you want to so hold on. So let's break this down slow since we're having this conversation again. So historic. Would you say that it's historic that a conservative, in order to open up the Overton window, spent $44 billion fucking
That's
dollars?
not what this conversation is about. There's nothing to do with
That's
what
the
we're talking
conversation I'm having because I'm a human being who's talking to you, and my opinion matters just as much as yours, Mr. fucking millionaire dickbag. This is what I want to talk about.
about. Okay.
What's the Overton window?
The Overton window is like what is acceptable to talk about.
Yeah, and we can't even talk about the JQ or race realism or anti-vax talking points or how gay people are groomers on Twitter without getting banned. It's like 1984.
True. Okay. So, anyways, so the point being, well, and that actually opens up its own set of can of worms. But anyways, so the point being that is that historically significant? Is that culturally important? Is this a
yeah,
huge
I'd say
moment
so.
in the fucking thing? Would you say the Overton window is shifting to the right a little bit because one of the big fucking social media companies has been bought out by this guy?
Sure, but one of the big points of him buying it out was we were going to finally figure out where the corruption laid with Hunter Biden and everything. And it seems like all the stuff that got released, there was no corruption. Everything functioned as it probably should have.
Okay,
Any major decisions.
Let's get into that because maybe the Hunter Biden thing we could actually find things that we disagree with
No, we're
information
not,
that's
because you're
publicly
going to say
available.
that because you're going to say that you didn't look at it and you're not familiar with any of it, and then we're going to.
No, I'll say no. I looked at it when it first came out.
Oh, okay.
Why would basically this story, which is of political relevance during the election cycle, be deemed misinformation or hacked materials?
It was deemed hacked materials because there were pictures of Hunter Biden's cock posted.
Okay, so what's the definition? If you want to get esoteric about or fucking
the definition
Raleigh
of hacked
definitional
materials
about
was
fucking,
somebody got access to a stash of pictures that were very personal that somebody didn't want published, and they published them.
Okay, and then basically, see, here's the thing. Twitter doesn't even agree with you because even in their internal definitions or internal conversations, they were talking about how they were stretching the fuck out of that policy in order to make the Hunter Biden story fit that. And not only that, they were stretching the fuck out of it at the behest of government officials. That's in the fucking Twitter docs.
Do you want to bet $10,000 on that claim? Because there was not a
I'm not
single
fucking rich enough for $10,000. Do you want to bet $100 like a normal person?
$10. I'm sorry. Hold on. $10.
No, we can do 100. No. I'm not that poor.
There was no government request to censor the Hunter Biden original story. There were a few requests that were put in to delete specific tweets, not about the Hunter Biden story. It was just pictures of Hunter Biden's cock.
So why did they fucking slow down? Like, it was either NY Post or fucking New York Times or whoever the fuck it was who had a story, and they literally like removed it, and then they put in fucking qualifiers for it, and they fucking algorithmically fucking slowed it down.
Because the NY Post one that came out, there was a lot of internal contention over whether or not it counted as hacked materials. That's what the internal debate was over. They didn't know if it was authentic.
No government official had any opinion about it at all.
Can somebody link the exact tweet where is it Barry Weiss, whoever the fuck literally says there was no evidence of government? Somebody just link me the exact tweet.
That was Matt Taibbi in the first one.
Yeah, can somebody just link me that exact tweet?
I think it was tweet number 13.
Yeah, I just link me that exact tweet. I can just read it to you word for word.
To it.
Yes, okay. Somebody please just link me that exact tweet.
While they're doing that, what government official would be advocating in 2022 to get rid of leaks about Hunter Biden?
Not get rid of, slow it down.
Okay.
I thought Twitter independently concluded that it had the markings of Russian misinformation. That was why they decided to apply the policy. Not for sure, but that they suspected that it might.
So does that not show that it fucking like right there that there's no fucking consistency within the story about what's going on? Is that not indicative of people panicking? This feels like, honestly, I'm not. I know I'm in the fucking lion's den, but this feels like
people panicking is a wildly different claim than the government told them to censor a tweet. That's a totally different claim.
Are you gonna deny? Okay, so are you gonna deny this story that fucking Mark Zuckerberg basically got a month's notice before fucking Hunter Biden's story was leaked, and the FBI said, "Hey, some major misinformation is coming out, and you need to act accordingly." And he basically did so voluntarily, but it was the FBI who told him to do it.
So I'll just say this: whatever you're saying, you're probably making it up because everything you've said about this so far has been made up.
Literally,
but I'll look into that later. I haven't seen the Zuckerberg stuff.
Look into that later. Okay, why don't you look into that now?
Okay,
we got time.
Yeah, we can.
I'm awake. You're awake.
Sure, we'll do it right after this, okay? So this tweet was, although several sources recalled hearing about a quote-unquote general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks, there's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, that might have been the problem, ... So there was no evidence of any government intrusion relating to the Hunter Biden laptop story. And this is from the guy writing the tweets about the leaks. Okay, what do you want me to read about Zuckerberg? Tell me what I need to Google. Zuckerberg.
It's exactly what Taibbi just said. That there was general guidance that fucking shit was coming out that might be misinfo, and as a result, they should fucking slow it down.
So I was correct in saying that you just
dude,
made some shit
listen,
up. Okay,
you've known me. No. This is actually part of what's pissing me off.
Yes.
And you're saying lie.
Okay, I'm sorry. You didn't lie.
I'm misrepresenting the information.
Incorrect.
Okay.
My bad. Okay. Not lie, but completely incorrect.
Do you want to use words to figure out our conversation, or do you want to be a cunt about it? Because it's actually starting to piss me off a little bit. Actually, let me nail this down real quick. At the expense of making it personal.
Nail it down.
So my reputation in this space is being good faith as a motherfucker. It's saying what I think and what I believe based off of available information. It's also not known for being a fucking retard. I'm not nuanced, bro. I'm not Lauren Southern. Shut the fuck up.
Let him finish.
Shut the fuck up. I'm not fucking nuanced, bro. I'm not Lauren Southern. I'm not playing some fucking game. I'm not playing 10D fucking rhetoric or chess or fucking clout shit or whatever the fuck you're talking about. So if you want to talk to me about things that I sincerely believe and you want me to fucking extend you some level of charitability and fucking respect that I actually expect from you, then I want some of that shit from you. Don't treat me like some fucking like conservative fucking oppo 80 IQ fucking retard who doesn't know what he's saying. I know exactly what I'm saying, and I'm saying it based off of evidence that I've reviewed. So don't, as a matter of fact, if you say the word lie again, basically I'm gonna call you a fucking asshole. Because I don't lie to you, and I don't lie in general. So fucking drop that shit.
That is a very
okay.
Since when do conservatives help police?
Okay, so
that was
the issue that I have is that right now our institutions are under attack more than they've ever been in the history of our fucking country. Okay, except for maybe the fucking Civil War. Except for that's not what I'm saying. Let me finish. You just went on a whole fucking 5-minute soy rant. So let me do my 5-minute soy rant. Okay? So historically, right, we're having huge problems with people trusting anything, okay? One of the big claims that conservative propaganda, bullshit, dipshit people are making is that the government is literally going into the social medias and censoring conservatives. You've parroted this line. You tried to defend it 2 days ago. That conservatives are stepping in and censoring particular stories. Or I'm sorry, that liberals are coming in and censoring particular stories. That conservatives are being suppressed and oppressed across all social media. And now Elon Musk has bought fucking Twitter, and he's done everything. Every fucking thing he has done is what he accused liberals of. He got on in fucking day one. He's tweeting absolute fucking lies about Pelosi having a gay lover breaking into his house. Absolute verifiable fucking lies. As the $44 billion owner of one of the most important social media institutions in the United States, zero conservatives call him out on it. Maybe you did. I hope you did. But I would see zero conservatives call him out on that. And he is engaged in misinformation after misinformation. And then as part of him owning Twitter, now he's leaking the Twitter files to finally show us that all of the government corruption and intrusion into social media that we all feared was there was actually there. But upon inspection, none of it is there. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, so none. So actually answer this question.
Let me finish my story.
Sure.
Not only is none of it there, the leaks actually show that Twitter was acting better than I actually ever thought they were. They were having fierce internal discourse over how they should handle some incredibly complicated stories, and it seems like they did about the best they could. And I applaud them for that. And it seems like there was no government intrusion in a story where I honestly thought that a lot of government intrusion would have been attempted to happen. So props to them for that. But instead, that's not the headlines that are being propagated. Instead, the headlines that are coming out are historic Twitter leaks that are showing all the bad information, all the memories, blah, 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 blah. So it's just a continual downplay, a continual misinformation that everybody seems to be partaking in, and I don't appreciate that. It's triggering the fuck out of me. And then when you come on and defend it, you have no facts to back it up. I feel like I'm talking to Elon Musk, and he's making shit up. Nothing is true, and I'm just supposed to pretend that like, oh, it's just a conversation. That triggers the fuck out of me, okay? Sorry.
So don't assign me any positions I don't have. I'll try to walk you through my logic, and you can see whether or not you at least see my logic, okay? So DHS, FBI, they might have like a domestic security interest in what goes on Twitter, right? So if there's like terrorists or fucking people planning January 6th or crimes or bombings or any of that kind of shit, that might be of interest, right? Because basically people do coordinate on social media. So I think we're good there. So they probably have a series of legitimate reasons to be interacting with Twitter and Facebook and social media or like corporate fucking dickheads all the time, right? So they probably have these task forces, these liaisons who work in social media companies. So let's go to the Hunter Biden story real quick. Do you think that's a story of public interest?
Now I do, yes, but at the time, I wasn't sure.
Okay, so during the election, do you think that the son of a president, somebody seeking the office of the highest land in the state, you can say that Trump's a bigger piece of shit, but do you think that Hunter, being a piece of shit, potentially selling influence, selling off his fucking name, doing drugs and banging whores, do you think that's like something that people probably should know about in a regular election cycle?
If it's true, yes.
Okay, so, well, I'm pretty sure we know it's true at this point, right?
That's the
we know
whole
it's true.
problem. At this point, we do. But you have to admit that at the time, it looked fake as fuck. Do you admit that, or are you?
Why? Okay, so for instance, if I see a young man who looks like Hunter Biden hanging out with fucking prostitutes with drugs on the fucking table and all that kind of shit, and I can do digital forensics that show that it's not a Photoshop, why would I believe that that wasn't true?
No, the question is the story about how it leaked. Does it sound likely that Hunter fucking Biden left his laptop at a random store and like Giuliani got his hands on it to like publish material? Does that sound like a real story to you? Like in retrospect,
I've known some pretty shitty crackheads, but that could be a personal thing.
In retrospect, that is what happened. But at the time, that sounds like an exceptional story. Like, holy fuck, I didn't believe it was real. That's an exceptional story.
So are you saying that the FBI and DHS reps who said, "Hey, some misinfo is about to come out," they thought it was bullshit?
I don't know if internal conversation on the FBI has leaked in terms of what they thought about it.
Okay. So basically, do you think that it's a little fucked up to have the institutions basically intervene on behalf of one of the fucking presidents to say, hey, this is like, let's say, so for instance, if you want to say you don't know, that's fine. For me, if they did know that it was legitimate and they asked for the story to be slowed down, that would be an abuse of their power.
It would be, but there are two things. One, they didn't do that because there was no government intrusion. And two, it was Trump's FBI.
Okay. Read me the Matt Taibbi quote again.
Connor, can I ask you how it's not equally partisan?
Well, no, wait, hold on before we...
It is partisan.
Don't veer off into a whole other topic, okay? Hold on. Matt Taibbi's quote was, although several sources were called hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks, there's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story.
Okay, so for me, although general involvement fucking blah, 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 that's exactly what you would do as a fucking government official if you wanted to have some level of plausible deniability.
Oh
hey,
my God.
This thing's coming up.
You win.
Why?
Okay,
Hold on, tell me why that's crazy. Tell me why that's crazy.
You win. Because now you're going to tell me that it was all like a secret cover-up and they lied and they were directly involved. I can't win against that argument. You win. You have the conspiracy argument.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
no, I haven't said any of that.
You got it.
No, I haven't said any of that. Why are you assuming that I'm saying any of that? It's actually pissing me off that you're fucking assuming that I'm saying that shit.
You're telling me right now that there was intrusion, but they did this to have like no liability, so I can't win. What you were saying directly contradicts the Twitter leaks, and I'm just supposed to take your word for it because like how
is it directly fucking contradictory to say that a general warning was issued a week or two before the fucking story leaked, probably because they had sources inside the Trump. Let me finish the fucking story because of fucking Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Zuckerberg saying that he talked about the fucking before the Hunter story dropped.
But was there a threat that the Hunter story's gonna drop, or was it just in general that there's like a lot of weird comms and shit going on the Russian side?
It was general, and he assumed.
Okay, so if it's general, is that even false? Do you think that statement is false by our intelligence, or do you think that's a true statement?
Yes. If the FBI liaisons and the fucking DHS liaisons knew that it was the Hunter story and they knew it was true, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I have to do a ton of because I've got to put the conspiracy together. That I see you're saying. So
dude, that's not even. Dude, you're acting like I'm asking you to do algebra, and I'm asking you to do arithmetic.
You are alleging a conspiracy. So let me tell you the conspiracy you're alleging. Okay, you're alleging that our intelligence knew about the Hunter Biden story. They knew in advance that it was going to leak, and so they preemptively went to the social media's companies and said, like, hey, you guys need to do something because there might be some misinformation coming, right? Knowing that the Hunter Biden story was coming through the pipeline and that it was actually real, but they wanted to censor it. But you have no evidence for any of that. But that's what you think. I can't counter your...
What kind of evidence would you... Okay, so why would they have the correlated fucking timelines almost immediately? Why would the social media managers assume that's what they were supposed to do?
Well, first of all, I don't know about Zuckerberg's assumption because I haven't seen that yet. But Twitter, there's no indication that they're assuming that like the FBI gave them that order.
Okay, so then let's actually back up. So there's no evidence that the FBI gave them that order. So they just took it on under their own volition in order to help out the Biden campaign. That basically they were gonna through their own volition, voluntary, of course. So voluntarily, they decided to slow down a fucking story.
You're saying help out the campaign.
Reasonably could have happened. Let's say that story breaks and it goes viral on your social media platform, and Joe Biden loses the election by 1 or 2 points, and then it comes out that the story was actually completely fake. How do you feel now?
I don't know. Is like liberalism and the free flow of information and freedom of speech only like active when it's convenient? Like, is that the only time that we give a shit about it?
I'm trying to ask you to pull Trump's dick out of your fucking ear and think for 1 fucking second, because that was what they saw in front of them. That it was possible that an election, a major presidential election, could be massively influenced.
It's embarrassing. You don't know shit about me.
Okay,
like I'm not a fucking MAGA supporter. I'm not a Trump supporter.
I don't know how you can't fathom this unbelievably fucking obvious point. Then the worry that they had.
You think I don't understand the rational self-interest? Do you think that I'm that stupid? Because
Well,
it's actually kind of
it
insulting.
seems to be because you seem to think that the only possible explanation for their activity is some secret FBI intrusion when there's a really obvious story.
I think there's perfectly reasonable, rational motivations for everybody involved.
Well, I see all of the evidence has been laid out, including the Twitter leaks, and they support every single part of my story 100%, and you have zero evidence for yours. So if you have nothing compelling to tell me, all you're doing is spinning conspiracy
Zero
tales
evidence.
for me.
You know that I've conducted investigations before, right? You understand that I know the difference between like hard evidence and circumstantial evidence, right? You understand that I also understand that like you can basically postulate about things that are going on based off of correlated information, but just because I can't prove it in a court of law doesn't mean jack shit, right?
You don't have any evidence for anything.
You're denying fucking reality and logic.
I'm not denying reality and logic. You're giving me a just so story because it sounds good to you, but by your own admission, you have no evidence for any of it. I have evidence. I can give you a piece of evidence for every single claim I'm making.
You are acting like every single person in this story is a soulless fucking robot without moral intuitions or rational self-interest. And the people who so for instance, the DHS liaisons, the FBI liaisons, the fucking people who work for the state, the people who work for Twitter, all of their fucking all of their behavior within my theoretical fucking reality is all so easily explainable. It would be fucking mind-blowing if they didn't follow the fucking path that I've laid out.
I want to do a little test here, okay? I'm going to write out both of our stories, okay? And then you can tell me if you agree with my characterization of mine and then your characterization of yours, okay? Okay? Ready? Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay. So this is Steven's version, okay? Here are a few events that happened, okay? So,
and by the way, if you're gonna give me like a 3-minute fucking Stevens version, if you give me a shitty 3 minutes Connor's version, I want 3 minutes, and I don't want to be interrupted during that 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm just gonna write out both. It's very quick. Okay, so in Steven's version, okay, due to prior Russian intrusion in U.S. Social media, the FBI plus well, I'll just say the FBI. The FBI warned social media companies of potential Russian propaganda. I'll just say that, okay? The Hunter Biden story gets published by the New York Post on Twitter. Twitter reviews the story, initially feels like it has a lot of Russian propaganda flags, and ultimately err on censoring the story initially because it also seemed to conflict with their hacked materials policy because they were unable to authenticate the source of the story as being valid. And I think it's the next day or maybe week, Twitter revises their hacked materials policy and they allow the story to circulate. I think it was a week later. Okay, that's my version, okay? Your version is the FBI catches wind of the Hunter Biden laptop story, knowing it is true. They give warnings ahead of time to social media companies in the hopes that they censor it due to the political damage.
Slow it down.
It can cause Biden. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just saying, instead of censor, say slow it down.
Okay. That they slow it down, whatever that means, due to the political damage it can cause Biden. Okay. The Hunter Biden story gets published by the New York Post on Twitter. Twitter reviews the story and, remembering the earlier FBI warnings, decide to slow the story down because they are worried that it will hurt Biden's campaign or Biden's electoral chances.
Or their relationship with DHS and Homeland Security and the FBI.
Or their relationship with DHS, Homeland Security, FBI. Okay? Okay.
Let's go,
So
baby.
for my story, I know that there was prior intrusion in U.S. social media. I can source that. I can say the Mueller indictments. I know that the FBI is probably reaching out and talking to a lot of social media. I'm pretty sure they've talked about it in front of Congress. Zuckerberg's talked about it. We know this happened, right? Now, I know that Twitter reviewed the story, and I see the internal discussion they had about whether it looked like Russian propaganda, that they weren't sure if it fit the hack materials policy, that people went back and forth on it. I know that. I have those conversations sourced. I know that Twitter eventually reversed their decision and revised their policy, and that there was a lot of like terror between whether it went one way or another internally. I know all of that. I've seen the sources for all of that. Now, in the second part here, your part about how the FBI knew about the story far in advance and gave warnings to social media, I have no evidence of that at all. I can
Okay,
guess.
can you take a leap of logic for me? Can we assume that Giuliani and Trump are fucking retarded, and because they're incompetent and people will be motivated to try to get them out of power within their own camp, that they probably had more fucking leaks than the goddamn Iraqi Navy? And they were probably talking shit about how they had this big nuke that was going to sway it their way for weeks before they released it, and people outside of the Trump camp would have been likely aware of that. Can you take that leap of logic?
That's a lot of probablys.
Wait, so that Julian and Trump were stupid?
Fuck up. That
so
is like
they didn't
fucking,
leak it ahead of time.
That's like understanding
got
humanity.
Leaked. Okay, assume FBI found out. Okay, so my two assumptions are that Giuliani and Trump were stupid. So even though if they didn't leak it ahead of time, it got leaked. And then
okay, but just for the sake of the conversation, can you admit that Giuliani and Trump were stupid? Just so I can have one concession from you. Thanks.
Yeah, I will concede that Trump is stupid and so Giuliani. But
wow. Okay, cool. Thanks.
For my story, I can source and cite every part of it. On your story, I'm already off the ground with two pretty big assumptions. Okay, but that's fine. Hunter Biden's story gets published on the New York Post on Twitter. Twitter reviews the story, remembers the earlier FBI warnings, and decided to slow it down for political reasons because they're worried it'll hurt Biden's electoral chances or their relationship with the FBI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what are my assumptions here? That assume that
Twitter is self-interested and wants to comply with government officials they have a close relationship with, and on top of that, it could hurt the person that they're most sympathetic to, which, by the way, this is also like baby steps emotional logic. I feel like y'all are acting like I'm fucking crazy, and I'm literally like explaining rational human behavior based off of motivations that are self-evident.
I can explain the
Well, I
problem.
mean, like, keep in mind that you're talking about Trump's intelligence departments too, right? Because Donald Trump is the president, so this is...
No, these people fucking hate him.
Okay,
the FBI took possession of a copy of the laptop and the hard drive in December 2019.
Okay.